Alright, y'all, buckle up, because we're about to talk about the absolute worst guns you could hand to somebody who's never touched a firearm before. Now, I'm not saying these are bad guns, some of them are legends, but giving them to a first-timer, that's like teaching your kid to drive in a Formula One race car. It ain't gonna end well. We got 14 guns on this list that'll make a beginner question why they picked up a firearm in the first place, so let's get into it. First up, we got the Desert Eagle chambered in .50 caliber Action Express. Now look, I ain't gonna lie to you, this thing is iconic. You see it in every action movie since the 80s, every video game, every "look how cool I am" Instagram post. It's big, it's loud, and it's gas operated, which is kind of fancy for a handgun. But here's the thing, this gun weighs about 4 pounds unloaded, which is heavier than my daughter's attitude when I ask her to do the dishes. The 50 AE round? That baby's pushing over 1,400 foot-pounds of energy, and that's more than some rifles, folks. The recoil on this thing will send your soul into orbit, and the muzzle blast makes everyone at the range hate you. And the price? Well, let's just say it costs more money than my first truck. Handing this to a beginner is like giving a toddler the keys to a rocket launcher. They'll pull the trigger once, the gun's gonna try to escape their hands like it's breaking out of prison, and they'll spend the rest of their day wondering why they ever agreed to come shooting with you. Next up, we got snub-nose 357 revolvers. Now, I love a good wheel gun, don't get me wrong, but these little guys are mean. We're talking about a full-power Magnum cartridge crammed into a frame the size of a smartphone. The 357 Magnum was introduced way back in 1935, and it's been knocking socks off ever since. But here's the deal. When you shrink the barrel down to 2 inches and keep the same power, you get recoil that'll make your wrists file for divorce. I tried to teach my buddy how to shoot with one of these, and after one round, he looked at me like I just tricked him into thinking wasabi was guac. The short barrel means you got less weight up front to tame the blast, and if your grip ain't perfect, which it's probably not gonna be if you're a beginner, this thing's gonna punish you like a disappointed parent. It's snappy, uncomfortable, and builds flinch faster than I build up heartburn after Taco Tuesday. Sure, they're great for concealed carry if you know what you're doing, but for a first-timer, that's a no from me, dog. Nothing says welcome to shooting like a firearm that hates your wrists. Alright, let's talk about these little micro 380 pistols, like the Ruger LCP. Now, these things are adorable, I'll give them that. They're tiny, they fit right in your pocket, and they look like something a spy would carry in a James Bond flick. But here's the problem, shooting one of these is like shaking hands with an angry chihuahua. The 380 ACP cartridge ain't the most powerful round out there, but when you can cram it into a gun that weighs less than a can of beans, physics gets real nasty. You got almost no grip to hold on to, the sights are microscopic, I can barely see them and I wear glasses like the size of windshields, and the recoil is snappy as heck. It's uncomfortable, it's hard to control, and it ain't gonna teach a beginner good habits. I tried letting my nephew shoot one of these once, and he said, "Uncle Buck, why does this gun hate me?" And honestly, that's a fair question. These are fantastic backup guns for folks who know what they're doing. But for somebody's first gun, nah, because they technically work, but they're gonna make that new shooter think guns are punishment devices for their shooters. Look, they're adorable. They shoot like a chihuahua with rabies, though. Not a good combo for learning. Alright, now we're getting into the spicy stuff. AR pistols. Look, I love ARs, got a couple myself, but an AR pistol, that's a whole different beast. For those of y'all who don't know, an AR pistol is basically an AR-15 with a short barrel and a brace instead of a stock. They are loud, like wake up neighbors 3 counties over loud. And the muzzle blast? Forget about it. You're basically summoning a fireball every time you pull the trigger. Indoors, you're gonna clear out the range faster than I clear out the fridge on a Sunday night. Let's not even talk about the recoil. Without a proper stock, controlling this thing's like trying to wrangle a greased pig at the county fair. Sure, they are very cool. They are tactical and they look awesome. But for teaching somebody who's never shot before, you're not teaching them to shoot, you're teaching them to fear firearms. Save these for folks who already know their way around the platform, otherwise you're just gonna traumatize them. Alright, controversial one coming up. The 12-gauge pump shotgun. Now hold on, before y'all come at me, let me explain. Is a 12-gauge pump a good home defense tool? Absolutely. Is it reliable? Well, you bet. Remington 870, Mossberg 500, these are legends. But as a first gun for a beginner, well, that's where I gotta pump the brakes. See, a 12-gauge with full-power buckshot or slugs kicks like an angry mule. You hand that to somebody who's never shot before, and they're gonna develop a flinch faster than I developed a dad bod. It builds habits that are bad. It's intimidating, and it can actually hurt you if you ain't bracing for it right. I have seen plenty of new shooters take one shot with a 12 gauge, wince, and then never want to touch a gun again. Now, if you start them with light target loads, that's a different story, but most folks just hand over the full power stuff and wonder why their buddy doesn't want to go to the range anymore. So yeah, it is a fantastic gun. It's just not a first fantastic gun. It works great if you know what you're doing, but it's rough on folks just starting out. Teach them right, and they'll love it. Rush it, and they'll think you're trying to break their shoulder. Next up, 40 caliber S&W Compact Pistols. Now, the 40 caliber Smith & Wesson was introduced back in 1990 as a compromise between the 9mm and the .45 ACP. The FBI adopted it, police departments loved it, and for a while, it was the hot ticket. But here's the thing, it's snappy, real snappy. You get more recoil than a 9mm, but without the capacity benefits of a full-size gun when you're looking at compacts. The recoil impulse is sharp and kinda unpleasant, especially in a smaller frame, like driving a truck with bad shocks. I mean, it'll get you there, but it ain't a smooth ride. Nowadays, even the FBI went back to 9mm because advancements in ammo technology made the 40 caliber kind of unnecessary. For a beginner, that snappy recoil makes it harder to learn good fundamentals. They're gonna anticipate the kick, they're gonna flinch, and they're gonna miss more. Now, if you're experienced and you like the 40, more power to you. But for somebody just starting out, start them with a 9mm. Let them build up confidence and then maybe introduce them to 40 if they're curious. Nothing says beginner friendly like a caliber even the FBI dumped. It ain't bad, it's just not ideal for learning. Alright, now we're talking about single action revolvers chambered in big boy rounds like 45 Colt or 44 Magnum. Think old school cowboy guns, Colt single action army, Ruger Vaquero, that sort of thing. These guns are cool. They are historical and they're tons of fun, but they make you feel like you're in a western. For a beginner though, these are kind of rough. First off, the manual of arms is clunky. You gotta manually cock the hammer for every shot, which is slow and awkward if you've never done it. Reloading's even worse. You gotta open the loading gate and poke out each round one at a time like you're playing the world's slowest game of whack-a-mole. And the triggers? Heavy as heck in double action mode. Plus, if you're shooting a 44 Magnum, that recoil is going to remind you that Dirty Harry was a fictional character and you are not him. Now, these are fantastic guns for experienced shooters who appreciate the history and craftsmanship, but for teaching somebody the basics, they'll spend more time trying to figure out how to load the dang thing than actually shooting it. They're not gonna hurt you, but they're gonna frustrate the heck out of you if you're just starting out. Save these for after you've learned the fundamentals. Oh boy, Derringers. These little fellas are about as cute as a button and about as pleasant to shoot as a cactus hug. For those who don't know, Derringers are tiny, usually two-shot pistols that have been around since the 1800s. They're small enough to hide just about anywhere, which made them popular as backup guns way back in the day. But shooting one, well, that's a whole different story. You got the grip the size of a tic-tac, sights that might as well not exist, and recoil that'll make your hand feel like it just got smacked with a hammer. I tried shooting a 410 Derringer once, and my hand was sore for 2 days. My daughter asked why I was holding my hand funny, and I just told her, "Sweetheart, Daddy's been making some enthusiastic life choices." The capacity is terrible. 2 shots and you're done, and then they're really only useful for ultra close range situations. For a beginner trying to learn marksmanship, forget about it. You can't learn proper grip, stance, or sight alignment with something this tiny and painful. These are for people who want maximum discomfort and minimum size. Great for movies, terrible for teaching. Alright, we're talking about Scandium lightweight 357 revolvers now. Companies like Smith & Wesson make these super light revolvers using Scandium alloy frames, and they weigh next to nothing. Sounds great, right? Wrong. See, when you take a full power 357 Magnum cartridge, which already kicks pretty good, and you put it in a gun that weighs about as much as a loaf of bread, physics get real nasty real fast. The recoil is brutal. I'm talking painful. Even experienced shooters don't like shooting these things. I let a buddy try mine one time, and after 2 rounds, he handed it back and said, "Buck, I think your gun's trying to kill me." And honestly, I couldn't argue. Your hand's gonna hurt, your wrist is gonna hurt, you're definitely gonna develop a flinch if you keep shooting it. These are designed for concealed carry where weight matters more than shootability. And that's fine for folks who train with them, but for a beginner, this is a fantastic way to teach them arthritis. Feels like shaking hands with a car crash. Great way to make somebody never want to shoot again. Alright, let's take a minute to talk about AK pistols. specifically things like the Draco. Now, the AK-47 platform is definitely legendary. It's reliable, it's rugged, been around since 1947. Probably the most recognizable rifle on the planet, but an AK pistol? That's where things get wild. Take that same 7.62 by 39mm cartridge, you put it in a short barrel with no stock, and basically summon the fire god every time you pull the trigger. That muzzle blast is insane. We're talking fireballs, recoil, and noise levels that'll make your ancestors question you. Controlling one of these is like trying to hold onto a jackhammer while it's going off, and for a beginner, let's just forget about it. They're gonna be so overwhelmed by that blast and recoil, they ain't learning nothing except fear. I remember my daughter trying to use one at an outdoor range. Can't blame her, they do look cool. And after one mag dump, she looked at me and said, "Dad, I think I saw God." These are cool, don't get me wrong. They look amazing. They're fun for experienced shooters, but for teaching somebody new, no way. Save these for folks who already know what they're doing. Otherwise, you're just going to terrify them. Now, lever action rifles are classic. I love them. Marlin Henry, Winchester. These are American icons, but lever action's chambered in 45-70, that's a whole different ballgame. The 45-70 was introduced back in 1873 for the U.S. military, and it was designed to take down cavalry horses and people riding those horses. Nowadays, folks use it for big game hunting. Think elk, moose, bear, maybe even dinosaurs if you find one. The problem is that this thing kicks real hard. We're talking about heavy recoil that'll remind you that your shoulder is in fact part of your body. And ammo is expensive. Like, I could have bought lunch with that expensive. Not exactly beginner friendly. You hand this thing to somebody who's never shot before, they're gonna fire one round, rub their shoulder, and ask if you're mad at them. Now, for experienced shooters who want to hunt big critters, these are fantastic, no doubt. But for teaching the basics, man, it works great for what it's designed for, but it's just too much gun for a first-timer. Great for killing dinosaurs, terrible for teaching your nephew. Alright, we're getting into the weird stuff now. Pistol caliber carbines with binary triggers. For those who don't know, a binary trigger fires one round when you pull the trigger and one round when you release it. It is fast. Like, did I just mag dump by accident? Fast. PCCs, pistol caliber carbines, are usually chambered in 9mm or 40 caliber Smith & Wesson, and they are so much freaking fun to shoot. But you add a binary trigger to the mix and things get chaotic real quick. For a beginner, this is way too much to handle. They're going to be confused by the mechanics, they're probably going to accidentally dump a whole mag, and they're probably going to have a minor panic attack in the process. These are fun for experienced shooters who want something different. But for teaching somebody, they'll mag dump themselves into a felony-level anxiety attack. The mechanics are just too confusing for somebody starting out. Let them learn with a normal trigger first, then introduce them to the chaos if they're interested. Alright, we're talking full-size 44 Magnum revolvers now. Think Dirty Harry. Feeling lucky, punk? These are legendary firearms. 44 Magnum was introduced in 1955, and it's one of the most powerful handgun cartridges out there. It'll take down just about anything in North America if you're a good shot, but for a beginner, this is rough. The recoil is massive. We're talking wrist-breaking, hand-numbing. Why did I agree to this? Levels of kick. I remember letting a friend try one, and after 3 rounds, he handed it back to me and said, "Man, I think my elbows are falling off of my dang body." And I felt that. Even in a full-size revolver with some weight to it, the 44 mag is definitely intimidating. The muzzle blast is huge, the noise is deafening, and it's just not conducive to learning good fundamentals. Beginners need something they can shoot comfortably so they can focus on grip, stance, and sight alignment, and this ain't it. Because beginners definitely need PTSD from their elbows. Yeah, save this one for after they've got some experience under their belt. And last but not least, we got a pistol grip only pump shotgun. You know, the ones I'm talking about here. No stock, just a pistol grip on the back. They look so cool. They look real tactical too, but shooting one is a nightmare. Without the stock, you got no way to properly brace a gun against your body, which means all that recoil goes straight into your wrist. It's uncontrollable, it's painful, and the accuracy here is going to be about as good as my attempts at understanding TikTok, which is to say not very good at all. The ATF classifies these as firearms, not shotguns, because of the lack of the stock, but that's a whole other conversation. The point is, these are terrible for shooting effectively. You can't aim properly, You can't control the recoil, and you're way more likely to hurt yourself than hit your target. This is a tool for breaking newbie wrists, not teaching marksmanship. If you want to teach somebody to shoot a shotgun, then get one with an actual stock. Your joints will thank you. But alright y'all, that is the list. Guns that are absolutely terrible for first-time shooters. Now, are these bad guns? Nah, most of them are legends, but for teaching somebody, that's a big old no. You're taking a friend or family member shooting for the first time, start them with something manageable like a .22 rifle or a full-size 9mm pistol. Let them build up that confidence. Don't go traumatizing them right out of the gate. Listen, drop a comment below and let me know if I missed any or if you got horror stories about teaching beginners. Maybe you were one of those who did not have fun learning at the start. And hey, if you learned something today, smash that like button and subscribe. Y'all come back now, you hear?